There is a very popular opinion that if it wasn't for the military, the wristwatches of today would be very different, if actually existed at all. A lot of big brands shape their designs and specifications in accordance to the military use requirements, and homages to these military-style watches are very popular. The brands that actually used to build these watches in the past call these homages reissues, and rightfully so, those companies were producing these models in the first place, but do expect to pay a pretty penny for those reissues. For example, IWC Field Watch will easily set you back more than $5,000. Somewhat more affordable Omega or Longines will cost you around $2,500, and CWC or Hamilton Pilot Pioneer, which is one of my favorite, will still cost you between $600 and $700. This is where micro brands come in, and while micro brands will have a hard time competing in heritage and pedigree categories, they still come out swinging, competing on price and quality. So, how does this military-style watch from Merkur stand in these two categories? Well, we've got it here, so let's find out. Hello and welcome back, and just in case you're only now discovering my channel, we review watches and other watch-related stuff here. If this is your thing, do join us by hitting that subscribe button over there. If you're not familiar with Merkur, they are a Chinese micro brand with quite a wide product offering spectrum. Merkur Watch Group, as they refer to themselves these days, has a few brands under its umbrella, Season being one of them, as we can see on the dial of this watch. I have a very good impression of the Merkur watches that I reviewed so far, and I will leave a link to those reviews in the description if you want to further explore Merkur products. Let's talk about the price first. With $20 discount code at the time of making this video, Merkur is selling this watch on their site for $79. I'm not sure how long the discount code will be active, and I will put it in the description of this video, so don't wait for too long. But even without a discount code at $99, I think this watch is quite competitively priced. Merkur also offers a number of different dial configurations under the same listing, including American military style, which is usually defined by presence of 24-hour markers, and California style with half Arabic and half Roman numerals. Please note that all of them priced somewhat differently. When it comes to pricing and branding, Merkur can be, should I say, a bit of a mystery. Packaging. I know this is not the most exciting part of the review, but I think I should mention it anyway, and not because I've got some kind of cartoonish style case. This time someone at Merkur clearly has a sense of humor, but because how useful these cases are. This is by far not my first Merkur watch, and I use these cases for travel, even in this, despite the fact that I actually have got a watch roll. These cases are robust and compact and can easily accommodate 2 or even 3 watches with a bit of a stretch. What else we get? We also get a 2-year warranty certificate, well, looks big and important, and a user manual, a cloth, a product catalog, and a useful tool for strap changing. Dimensions. The case on this watch is measured 38mm across. We have 20mm lugs, which is very useful because I found this watch to work really well with various straps. The case height is only 11.6mm, out of which at least 2mm is taken by this lovely double dome crystal. Lug-to-lug distance is only 41mm, and lug tip to lug tip is 43.6mm. With such dimensions, this watch will work on most wrist sizes and with most strap options, including NATO style and bone straps. The supplied leather strap will cover up to about 8¼ inch wrist or about 21 centimeters, and on the supplied leather strap this watch weighs 63 grams. Nice and light. Here is this watch on my about 7-inch wrist. Now, the case. The overall dimensions and the shape of the case makes it really comfortable on the wrist. I put some more wrist shots on a 6¼ inch wrist later in this video. We have a full stainless steel construction here. The finishing quality is very good. Well executed longitudinal satin brushing on top of the case, combined with pretty much flawless mirror polished flanks. The transitions between the facets are well defined and smooth at the same time. We have a well-proportioned side crown. I like how the crown looks and feels. The crown is ever so slightly recessed into the case, which will provide additional protection from side impact. It is a push-pull crown, which is actually more practical for the type of movement that Merkur used in this watch, which we'll talk about shortly. The back of the case is also well finished with a circular brushing, and we have a nicely decorated screw-on back case. Merkur also included coordinates here, which seem to point to a location in Beijing. I'm not entirely sure what it meant to signify. Maybe it points to the location of their offices. Well, if you know, do let us know in the comments. Merkur declared 50 meters of water resistance on this watch, which is okay for a field or a pilot style timepiece. Okay, the dial. The dial is executed very well and is true to the early 1970s British Army design requirements. Very legible and free of any distracting decorations or date. The dial is fully printed, no applied components here. The hour markers are printed in kind of aged loom color, the same as the color on the loom on the hour and minute hands. In the same time, the minute chaptering and hour Arabic numerals are printed in white. We have an arrow above the 6 o'clock marker, which usually signifies some kind of British government or military connection. And we have the brand name Season. I personally think that Merkur would benefit from consolidating the branding and possibly stick to something more consistent, like Merkur, for example. So I will leave Merkur marketing department to ponder that one. We have a classic three-hander arrangement here. The hands are well proportioned and are of a good length. The loom is pretty decent, taking into account the price point of this watch. It is not a Seiko level, but for this type of watch I think it's quite adequate. Crystal. Now, I like the shape and the distortion of this raised double dome crystal. It is not a sapphire crystal, which of course would be nice. However, I'm kind of okay with a mineral crystal here too, for a number of reasons. First, it suits the vintage aesthetics of this timepiece, and actually considerably more expensive CWC and Hamilton watches use either plastic acrylic or similar mineral crystal on their versions. And another reason is that changing such a high-raised double-dome crystal to a sapphire would definitely push the price of this watch considerably higher. And lastly, there is an opinion that mineral crystal tend to be somewhat less reflective compared to sapphire, also helping the legibility. Now, the movement. We have here M01D movement with 40 hours of power reserve, beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour. Going fully with the style of this watch, again, similar to CWC and Hamilton watches, we have a mechanical hand-winding movement here. This means, of course, that we will need to hand-wind this movement pretty much daily, and that's where not having a screw-down crown comes in handy. With no other complications like day or date on the dial, resetting the correct time and fully winding up this watch is literally a matter of seconds, so not a big deal if for some reason the watch runs out of power reserve. Another interesting detail about this movement is that Merkur claims to manufacture it themselves. I'm not sure how much of this movement or which part of it or completely is actually done by Merkur. However, it is pretty rudimentary mechanical movement, which is very easy and quite affordable to service, or probably even cheaper to replace altogether. Also, this is a non-hackable movement, that is, the second hand will continue running even when we pull the crown into the second position to set the time. I would personally prefer a hackable movement, but then there might be a military use case for a consistently running second hand. Bracelet. Now, this watch looks really good on different types of straps. We can dress it up or dress it down, so to speak, from formal to sporty, kind of camping side style. Merkur ships it with this leather strap, which is actually of a very good quality. It is comfortable and pliable, so there is no need to break it in. And I like the velvety texture on the outside of it, and of course I like the quick release option, so I can remove it in seconds. There is no branding on the buckle, which is a bit surprising because I saw other reviews where there was some kind of branding included either on the outside or on the inside of the buckle. Not a biggie, but don't automatically assume when you order this watch that the watch strap will have a branded hardware. Other than that, I like this somewhat smart casual leather strap, and for more authentic look I found that this black and silver NATO style strap works really well too. And of course I couldn't resist an opportunity to put it on the boon strap. This watch works quite well on the boon strap due to its very slim profile. Well, when it comes to build quality, quality of finishing and attention to detail, this is a very impressive timepiece for the money. The lume is decent and I really enjoy the military aesthetics of this watch. I'm still not fully convinced about the branding approach of Merkur, and personally I would prefer more consistent markings, but other than that, this is a cool and fun flashback to a British military style of 70s that will not break the bank. I personally enjoyed it way more than I initially anticipated. What are your thoughts? Well, do share with us in the comments, and if you find this review helpful, do hit that like button, and of course don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.